What's up, guys? Today I am recording what I'm thinking of as my 1,000 subscriber special. So, with that in mind, let me go ahead and thank everybody for all of your support over the past couple of years now, I think. Um, it's been a lot of fun making videos. I hope they've helped some of you out in some way, or at least kept you entertained. So, I mentioned this briefly on one of my videos with Zach, but what I've had in mind for this special is to go through every line of my actual Emacs config. Now, I kind of wanted to do this live, but I am a little bit paranoid about my configs, especially because I have my email through Emacs, so I don't want to accidentally leak any of my personal information. So I'm just gonna read through the whole thing on video and hopefully post the video, and then at least I can cut out anything that I don't want to show on video. And actually, if I make it through the whole thing without finding anything like that, then maybe I will think more seriously about making my config available publicly. But anyway, with that, let's go and get started. I'm probably going to make some changes in here as I go, actually, as well, because some of the stuff's kind of old. So, we can actually talk about some interesting things right here at the very top. So the first thing you're seeing here is I've got the beginning of a comment in Emacs Lisp. Now, okay, actually, I think there's something interesting to talk about here before I even get into the config itself. So you'll see, of course, the name of the file is init.el. So I actually used to do the literate config type thing, where I had a big org file that would get tangled into Emacs Lisp and all of that. But I found that I really didn't need the literate style config. Once you're kind of used to Emacs Lisp, you start to know what things are. So for example, I'm skipping ahead a little, but I would make a section in the literate config that was a section called undo tree. And inside of it, it would just have this code. So it's like, do I really need the section for undo tree? Probably not. And I didn't like the indirection of tangling and all that stuff. So I now just keep all of my Emacs Lisp config in an Emacs Lisp file. And then I don't have to go into like editing a source block. I don't have to tangle it. I don't have to do any of that stuff. So this is perfectly fine for me. Now, with that out of the way, the first line of the file, this is a special kind of comment. Probably if you're watching this, you might be familiar with this, but this is a file local variable. So the first thing I do is turn on lexical binding, and I think that the default is still dynamic binding, I think. If you see in your Emacs Lisp mode, if you see a D, and I think it's usually yellow, that means you're still using dynamic. So I think in modern Emacs Lisp, you're supposed to put something like this at the top where you turn on lexical binding instead. Now, the other thing that's kind of interesting here is I'm actually evaling a piece of code. It's kind of thunderstormy outside, so hopefully my power doesn't go out. But I'm evaluating this piece of code to set a key binding locally in this buffer to Control-C-I for console outline. What I usually have bound to Control-C-I is iMenu, or maybe consult iMenu. But I'm taking advantage of this outline integration where I use 3 semicolons to be like the sections of my file. So if I do that now, I can hit Control-C-I, and you'll see it's listing all of these headings. This is my startup section, this is my LSP performance, package repositories, use package, and so on. And so for me, this basically takes the place of the different headings you might have in an org mode version of your config. Okay, now, this section's probably not exactly necessary because it's at the very top, but this is the startup section. If you've ever been annoyed about how slowly your Emacs starts up, you might have found some information online about this, about setting your GC cons threshold. And I think this is just some threshold. I mean, we can read the documentation. Number of bytes of consing between garbage collections. So the idea here is that garbage collection is slow, and if you want Emacs to open really fast, you basically want it to open with fewer garbage collections. So all this is doing is trying to raise the threshold for a garbage collection to take place so that you get fewer of them when you're starting up. And then you can do this, Emacs startup hook. After it starts up, it's just going to send you this message. Of course, this isn't really a big deal to me anymore because I pretty much open Emacs one time per time my computer started up. So if it takes a little while to open up, it's not a big deal. The next thing we've got here, I guess I shouldn't move this in case I reveal anything down below. I don't want to have to edit too much. So now, the next thing I'm doing, I think this is actually a recent feature. At least one of these might be a recent thing. So this is basically starting my Emacs server. I actually used to never use this, and this is a very recent addition to my config. But I have found it pretty useful, especially for checking my email. I will actually use Emacs client, and now I have a key binding in DWM that spawns an Emacs client using this Emacs as the parent or the server, and then I can just pop open my email anywhere in DWM. So that's pretty cool. I use that a little bit. Now this is actually similar to the GC stuff above. I read online that this can help with the language server performance because I guess the way that language servers work is that they're communicating, between processes. So supposedly this is supposed to help speed that up a little bit. The next section, yeah, you can see this is actually a section because it starts with 3 colons, is the package section. So this is just where I initialize I require package. Now I've actually seen in my recent videos that you don't have to include this, but I still have it because my config is pretty old. Require package, I add melpo to my repositories, and then I call package initialize. The next thing I do is actually set this variable, use package verbose to nil. I don't actually remember what it used to say before I set that, but I don't know. I set it for some reason and it's still there. The next thing, yeah, as the comment says, I don't want Emacs to dump my custom settings at the end of my init file. So I set my custom file to somewhere else, and then I load that file so that it knows it actually loads the custom settings. I never actually set anything intentionally using the customize interface, but I'm sure there are some things in here that might be useful. So let's go take a quick look. Yeah, that's insane. We're not going to look at that. Okay, load custom file T. Let's scroll another screen. So what is this? This is my own function, which I started at some point prefacing with brw/, probably in the example of somebody else whose videos I watch. And from the name, yeah, add mode hook suffix. So add -mode hook to sim and return the resulting symbol. If it already ends in mode hook, just return it. So this is so that I can add hooks. Yeah, I define a macro. We'll look at that in a second. But basically, yeah, I just get the symbol name of the symbol. And then, oh, I have a literal suffix here. But I use it a couple different places, which is, I guess, why it's here. There's an extra space we can take out. And then, oh, CL search. Okay. Yeah, basically just check if it ends. If the suffix is in the name, we return it. And if not, I intern a new symbol. This one's just return the symbol is really what I'm going for. But anyway, I guess the comment kind of explains it. And then I define this macro down here, fix evil hook, that takes a hook, makes sure it has the right suffix. I tell it what evil state I want it to be in, and then yeah, I bind the key, and I pass it some function to call. And we'll be able to we'll see a use of this right down here. So we'll talk about it more there. Of course, my first package I install is undo tree. Do I want to show undo tree in the buffer? It's really handy. As it suggests, it basically gives you a tree of undos. So if I make a bunch of changes, then I undo a couple of them, and I do something different, you can actually get with Control X U, or just undo tree visualize, I think. It'll show you all of these edits, and you can go up and down and across the tree and get to different states. So it's really, really handy. Of course, I'm using use package. I'm ensuring that it's installed. I think this comes from either Elpa or Melpa, I can't remember. So we do have to install it. And then I turn it on globally, but I do turn the autosave history off, because just like some of the other things I talk about in my videos, this will create junk files in your directories, trying to remember your undo history across Emacs instances. So I find that annoying. I just turn it off. Next package, evil mode. So this, of course, is what gives me my Vim bindings that I really like. It's one of the first packages I usually install when I'm working on a new Emacs config. I don't remember what this does. Whether to load evil key bindings EL. I don't remember why that's in here. Probably to fix... I think it's to fix an interaction with some other mode. And then, okay, I've got this custom section. If nil, search for words. Evil symbol word search. Yeah, this is actually so that, so star and pound sign search for a whole word instead of a symbol. And I think that's nice if your mode perhaps like defines words differently. So this actually comes up, I've noticed this recently in Python mode actually, that it actually considers the underscore as a word separator. So if you have it set to search for words, I don't know. It relates to something about that. How, like, the difference between words and symbols in Emacs. So you might want to play with that. I think the default is nil. Config, mostly turning it on. I also set the search module, which just how the search behavior works. They're both okay. I don't really notice a big difference between them, but I have it on evil search, obviously. And I have to actually tell evil to use undo tree as the undo system. This one actually has a comment. Set this to enable sentence objects to work. So this is so that this is another sentence. This is so I can do something like okay. I guess it doesn't work in comments. But if you had some prose here that you're just writing, then you can actually do like DIS for delete in sentence. So I was always annoyed that evil mode didn't do that, but then I found this option. You can just do this, sentence in double space. This means that you expect 2 spaces to end a sentence. I don't do that with my sentences, so I had to change this. All right, now we actually see some calls to this fix evil hook. And if we look back up here, you'll see what's going on. So it takes hook, it binds mode to whatever this is. So in this case, mode is going to be treemax mode hook, and then I'm adding a hook to that mode, add hook, treemax mode hook. I'm doing evil local set key. Apparently there's a treemax mode in evil, because that's the state, or treemax state. And then I bind keyboard H to evil window top. This means, so normally with evil bindings, or in Vim, you can hit capital H, capital M, capital L to go to the top, middle, and bottom of your screen, respectively. That was not working in treemax, so I added that. I've got some other things here. In grep, we go, motion tab, next error. I'll just kind of scroll through these. Is there anything useful? You'll see this tab and return thing comes up a lot. And especially, yeah, occur. This is pretty cool. In man mode, we can go to next section. Let's see what this. I've never used whatever it was bound to before, and this seems better than aliasing GD since GD has a slightly different effect. Oh. So I actually override this binding. Yeah, I'm not sure what the default is. But this is a good thing to keep in mind. So GD is Vim's version of go-to definition. But sometimes I've found that the default Emacs stuff, extra fine definitions, this stuff can work a lot better. So I have this set explicitly here. Okay. I'm not entirely sure that this is necessary, but maybe it is. Anybody else, if you use evil mode and org mode down below, let me know what this default binding is. And then this is just a big list of just a list of pairs where I'm setting the evil initial state. So a lot of these are set to motion because in motion you can hit Q to close the window. So I used to set these to Emacs state, but in a lot of cases I realized that motion state would work as well. So that's all I'm doing here. Evil set initial state, the car to the coder. All right, the next package, evil collection. And what evil collection is it provides a lot of integrations for evil mode with other modes. So in this case, I'm only loading a few of them, and in particular, magit, dured, ibuffer, and mu4e. I think there are a lot more, but I just pick and choose the ones that I actually like. Another package, evil surround. This lets you do stuff like, if you have a visual selection, I can hit Shift S, and then some kind of delimiters, like parentheses, GV, quotes, stuff like that. It basically allows you to surround the selection with some kind of delimiters. Really handy. It's also handy in LaTeX mode because I can, wrap stuff in $signs, for example. As usual, ensure, config, and I turn it on globally. Now, for some reason, I like including all these ensures. I do know about use package always ensure the variable. I'm just used to writing ensure t, so there we go. Okay, I've got another package called vimish-fold. This is for creating Vim style folds, which I just tried to do, like with ZC, I think. But you also have to enable another kind of mode to get it to work. So I don't actually use either of these very often, vimish-fold or evil vimish-fold, because I don't know. Sometimes it sounds really nice to fold up part of the buffer, but then you want to look at it, and yeah, I don't know. These are definitely candidates for removal from my config, because I haven't really found a good use case for folds. Okay, as it shows, we are into the org mode section of the config, which is pretty long, I think. The first thing I do is I just set a couple variables. I have my to-do file, which is here. I called it research, but it's really kind of a catch-all directory, and it matches up with it's a Git repository. So I've got my to-do file and my schedule file, and then I'm going to use those later in the config. The first thing, let's see, I'm just setting some org variables. Org lists allow alphabetical. I think, yeah, alphabetical bullets. So this is if you want to do something like, maybe your first level of bullets is 1, 2, 3, 4. Then if you have sub bullets, maybe you have, A, B, C, or you can even do Roman numeral. Or no, it says single character alphabetical bullets. So Roman numerals might be a bad idea, but yeah, at least you can have 1A, 1B, 1C, so on. I turned off exporting with the table of contents and org image actual width. Oh, okay. Yeah. So just some little org settings. I think I just added this recently because I've been tracking my hours for work with org mode, and I just wanted it to show me like hours and minutes, not days, and I'm pretty sure that that's what this does. Because by default, when you go over 24 hours, it says like 1 day, 1 hour, but I just wanted to say 25 hours. Trying to set this so I can use the timer, but I think turning the bell off somewhere else makes it not work. Yeah, so org mode actually has a clock, like a Pomodoro timer, but I've never really gotten it to work. So this was me trying to get it to work, like enabling the clock sound. But yeah, if you ever heard Emacs making like an annoying alert, I usually turn that off, and I think that might be why this doesn't work. I don't know why these are lumped together. I mean, in theory, you can put all of the set queues together, but I typically just combine the ones that make sense together. Org reverse note order. I think this is when I do org capture. It doesn't put the note at the end. Like usually if I'm capturing something, it's because I was just working on it, and I might want it to be at the top of whatever subtree it goes into. So I think that's what that is. And this one is just for kind of looking cool, I guess. This means that I can put like asterisks in org mode, and it just turns bold. It doesn't show the markers as well. Kind of annoying. Not sure I like it, but it's kind of cute at least. Okay. Same thing. This is similar to what we saw at the top of the file, where in org mode, yeah, I think I usually have Control-CI bound to console I menu, but console has a special one for org mode, so I use that here. In org mode, I set the Control-CI to console org heading. Okay, org refile targets. I think this is a pretty recent addition as well. And what this is doing is just allowing me to refile things to more than one level of headings. So by default, it just looks to refile in like the top level headings. But in some cases, I had things like top level heading, and then I would have projects underneath that. So I might want to refile something into like work/project 1. And so including both level 1 and level 2 lets me do that. I just added this a couple days ago, the citations thing, and it doesn't really work for what I wanted it to work for. But this is how you can tell org mode or org site where your bibliography is. And I keep my bibliography file plus all of the papers I've ever downloaded in this library directory. All right. Now, probably this is where my org config used to start, and things kind of grew above and below it both. Let's see, what am I doing here? Org format LaTeX options. I think that this just increases the size of LaTeX equations to 1.5 times their size, because they were kind of small before. Don't use this very often, but it's still in here. I also, yeah, let's turn on rainbow mode in case we've got any other colors. I'm setting the foreground color of my org tables to midnight blue, which I will note only looks good in light themes. I looked at an org file with this recording style on the other day, and it's unreadable basically. What's next? The org code, I'm setting it to a monospace font and a black foreground with a light weight. By default, it was like this really hard to read gray that I didn't like. Custom set variable, org export backends. Oh, okay, it looks like I'm adding a Beamer export. So this is how you can export to slides, basically, LaTeX slides. And I actually make presentations with Beamer, so I don't know if I've ever used that. Yeah, period. I don't know if I've ever used that. But there it is. Now, this is kind of a cute new function. This corresponds to some functionality I have in DWM, where I can take a screenshot with a key binding, and it saves it here. Yeah, copy a screenshot from my quick screenshot location, which is this, to the current directory and insert an org mode link to it at point. So this can be really cool. Yeah, this is an interactive command. The idea is, I was using this the other day when I was taking some notes on a paper, and I wanted to copy a figure into the buffer. So I was reading the paper, I take a screenshot with my key binding, and then I hop back to Emacs, and I just call this, and what it does is it makes a basically a temporary file name in the current directory. It copies the screenshot to that name, and then inserts the name into the buffer. So of course this makes something like a horrible file name that says like image something 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 .png, but that's fine. The point is to basically get a unique name that's not going to clash with anything else in the directory. I certainly don't want to call it screenshot.png in the current directory because, then you can only do it once before you have to rename. And I want it to be something fast I could do. So that's new. Here's a function for opening PDF links. This is something really cool about org mode is you can add your own kinds of links. So we're probably about to see several different kinds of links here. This one's for opening PDFs. So save excursion, split path, command. I'm trying to remember how this works, but I guess it's not that big of a deal. I'm pretty sure this is taking everything after the path. If there's only one thing, give us a third. Oh no, it lets you do pages. You can have PDF link colon PDF name colon page number. I'm pretty sure that's what Zathura-P does. Car split async shell command. So that's pretty neat. And yeah, org add link type PDF, open PDF. Yeah, now this is actually one of the most annoying things I would say about adding new link types is having to add a way to complete the links. So it would be really nice, and maybe this exists and I just don't know about it, but it'd be nice to extend an existing link type. Like, I want to use all the machinery basically for files, which you can see here, org link complete file, but I have to do some... Oh, okay, maybe that's what I figured out here. I added a different link type one time where I did not use this, and it was kind of annoying. I think I pasted probably some of the internals from this function. But anyway, what I'm doing here is I'm getting PDF, org link, parameters, list, I guess. And then I'm putting into some kind of property list, PDF, org link parameters. This is the completion function to use. You let the default directory be library, and then you just load stuff from there, basically. Pretty neat. And another really cool link type I have here is actually an SSH link. So this basically, yeah, this was a huge pain trying to figure out how to get SSH-T to give you a login shell. But this basically lets me link to files on another computer that I can reach via SSH. And then when I click the org link, it spawns a terminal and SSHs me to that host and CDs to the right directory. So this is really useful if I'm running something on the supercomputer. I can just click a link in org mode and it pops up in my terminal and takes me there. That's really cool. I don't think that I've really done much with this one. Apparently I have some kind of project link where I click on the link and it runs projectile switch project. It's kind of neat. I actually forgot about that. I'm not sure if I've ever used this. But same kind of thing. Project store link. This is how you do completion. Or I guess this is how you do completion. Blah, blah, blah. Same kind of stuff as above. I think the SSH one is probably one of my favorites. Although I don't use... these are all kind of, I would say, gimmicky. they're really cool ideas, right? It's like, oh, I can open a PDF, I can open an SSH link, but how useful is that really? I mean, most of the time I know where this stuff is, and or I just keep the terminal open as long as I need it, that kind of thing. So I don't know. It's pretty neat. Hopefully you guys can get some inspiration from this, but I'm not sure how useful it really is. Same thing, yeah, projects, org make link description function. Okay. This appears to be using the, yeah, buffer substring under, oh, this is if you're in the region. Oh, okay. My org make link description function. Yeah, so this is basically trying to use the thing at point or the thing you have selected as the beginning of your link. Cool, I guess. I set my agenda files to my schedule file we saw above. Start on weekday 0. I think this means it starts on Mondays. Non-nil means start the overview on the specified weekday. I think this means start on Sunday, but I don't know. It means start on Sunday. I can actually open my agenda because it doesn't have anything in it. Yeah, we start on Sunday. I think it used to start on Monday. Agenda. Restore Windows after quit. Okay. Yeah, because it used to be really annoying. I opened my agenda and it would, mess up my whole window configuration. Org insert equation. That I can almost certainly get rid of. That could be a snippet or anything really. And I probably never use it. Okay, next thing. All right, here's something else cool. So this is org tempo. These are basically just snippets as well. But you used to be able to do this. Yeah, as it says here, for old style less than S source blocks. You used to be able to type less than S, hit tab, and it would give you a source block. And at some point they took that out of like the default org mode setup. So I had to add it back in by requiring org tempo. And then I actually added a bunch of custom ones here. Probably this should be do list just like the other one. Because mapcar is like you want to actually capture the result. But it doesn't really matter. So if I do less than EL, I get a source Emacs list block. I've got new plot, I've got Lisp, LaTeX, awk, plain text, Rust, Perl, Python. Oh, PYS is for Python with a session. And then I also have a shell one. Wait, why is it shell? I thought I just had SH, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's really handy. If you're going to be writing a lot of source blocks, for example, if you have your readmes on GitHub in org mode, which is kind of handy, you might want to have some of these. What is this? How the source code edit buffer. Okay, so apparently when I open a code block with Control-C single quote, sorry, I'm just petting the dog, it'll open in the other window. I have this package, OB, anytime you see an OB-language package, that's usually org babel go. So this is basically for having Go source blocks, which is a cool idea, but it's not just for having Go source blocks. It's also for evaluating Go source blocks. And evaluating compiled language source blocks is always kind of weird. I don't really recommend doing this. But maybe you need the package just for syntax highlighting too. Not sure. If that's the case, then I can recommend it. Okay. Wow, here's one I don't actually know if I've ever talked about in a video before. But I am a co-maintainer of this package, org alert. And the idea behind org alert, I don't know why all these keep getting moved over. The idea behind org alert is to take your org agenda and actually send you notifications when something is due. Now, the original implementation of this package would just flood you with notifications anytime something was due. And I think it would start at the time of the thing, But what you really want, obviously, when you have notifications, is you want some time before it sends you a notification, like 10 minutes before, and then you want it to stop at some point. So I took it over because the maintainer was really busy, and he made me a maintainer. I merged a bunch of PRs and got it working, at least to my satisfaction. And it seems like a few other people are using it as well. But you can set the notification style. For libnotify, it actually sends me like desktop notifications, and I tell it to check every 60 seconds. What's this? All alerts become persistent. So this makes sure that the notifications stay on the screen. They don't go away when you're not there. So if you go to the bathroom 15 minutes before class, and the notification pops up, it'll still be there when you get back from the bathroom, and you're like, oh, I gotta go to class. Not that that's a problem for me anymore. Alert fade time. This gives you 10 minutes, I think. Yeah, to see the notification. And then these are the types of things you want to see. So yeah, I definitely, if you're trying to use Emacs and the agenda to actually send you notifications, definitely recommend you check out this org alert package. It's pretty sweet. This just turns it on. Okay, this gets back to like, why did I put this in the middle of this? This should definitely be up here. I guess this would be the one good thing about having an org mode config, is that it might keep some of this stuff closer together. So as you can tell here, this is just loading a bunch of languages for org source blocks. All right, what is next? Conf. What a useful comment. Some kind of configuration. Org link frame setup. This is just telling it how to visit links, I think. If there's like a GNU's link or a file link. Yeah, probably the important one here is file. Probably just copy the default value and change the one that I cared about. Because I like to open the links in the other window. Okay, what is this? I think this is actually another recent thing. Insert a time 1 hour from now. I think this is so that... What is this? I mean, I know what it is. Insert a time 1 hour from now. So I guess this is just, if you want... Basically, you want to set a 1 hour timer, but you want org alert to send you a notification, I think. I think that's what this is about. So you can hop, you go to your schedule buffer, you're like, oh, take the clothes out of the dryer. And then you just insert the timestamp for an hour from now. Something like that. I think that's why I wrote that. And I think I used it once, probably exactly for that example. Or take the dishes out of the dishwasher, something like that. Okay, org cycle, separator lines. Yeah, I like to separate, so I have a top level heading, you got all the stuff under it. And then I like to have one blank line but before the next top level heading. So I think that's what I'm trying to do here. To actually tell org mode about that. So it doesn't, otherwise it'll like collapse the blank line under the heading. So you get all your headings next to each other. Maybe I should say what I actually use org mode for. Obviously there's a lot of org config here, but I've used org mode for managing my time, managing my projects, and managing my to-dos, basically. And my agenda, my scheduling. So basically everything. I use org mode for everything. Yeah. Org source window setup. What is this? All the source code. Oh. This seems to contradict this one. Yeah, okay. Well, clearly we should take this one out. Okay, that's what I thought, because I was pretty sure it popped up in the current window. Okay, current window. And then these are my org capture templates. So this is if I hit Control-C, X, and then I can select from these capture templates. We can schedule. I'm not sure. What is quick? I guess quick. Oh, I added a capture entry. So quick, I can schedule with a capture template that I should take the dishes out. Very interesting. Okay, so yeah, this is the org capture interface, and we'll just forget about that. And we'll go through these. So schedule. This basically means that there are two different schedules. So S is like the top level binding. Then I've got SS is the plain schedule. This just adds an entry. It prompts you for when to schedule it and puts it in my schedule file. You can also do SM, which is schedule plus an email. So I would use this a ton, for example, because in my PhD, everybody had to give seminars, and the way you would tell the department about your seminar is you send an email out with the time and the date. So, and when these were during COVID, this would be over Zoom. So I would get an email. I'd hit in Emacs, of course. Then I would hit Control C X while viewing the email. Oh, what's the dog doing? What are you doing? I might need to take the dog outside. It stopped raining finally. I'll probably pause the recording here. But anyway, I would hit Control C X while viewing the email. I could hit SM to schedule plus mail. It would prompt me for when to schedule it. I would type in the schedule from the email, and then it would be added to my schedule for later. It was really handy. Then I'd close the email, I'd get back to what I was doing. So I would immediately process the email and be done with it. All right, I'll be right back.